time to get into survival games, as the recent revival of the genre means there are more arriving every year, which is why we've done the hard work for you and compiled the very best survival games to dive into today. Alright, Enshrouded isn't exactly the most hardcore survival game out there, but it's way too cool not to mention. Think of it as a mix between Valheim and a fantasy RPG, where you're a Flameborn, tasked with saving the world from this creepy fog called the Shroud. It's got survival elements, sure. You'll be crafting weapons, building bases, and fighting off corrupted creatures, but it's not the kind of game where forgetting to eat sends you straight to a death screen. The real draw here is the balance between exploration and rebuilding. You can slap together a cozy hut or go full architect with a massive fortress, while pushing the fog back inch by inch. And with a skill tree to tweak your playstyle, there's enough RPG depth to keep things fresh. Plus, the co-op mode means you don't have to brave the fog alone. Grab some friends, split the chores, and argue over whose turn it is to fight the creepy fog monsters.
I knew I had to leave this place.
A zombie survival game that seems reluctant to leave early access. Project Zomboid is an isometric sandbox that drops you in a town and tasks you with simply not dying, which is easier said than done when hundreds of zombies are waiting to make a snack out of your brain. Project Zomboid's obsessively detailed simulation deserves top billing. Take vehicles for instance. They're a recent addition, and they pretty much function like real cars. You can lock them, break into them, hotwire them, fiddle with the thermostat, muck around with the radio, strip them for parts, everything's taken into account. There are practical reasons for all this granular detail, so you'll benefit from temperature controls during extreme weather, while smashing a window to break into a car will make it less secure if zombies attack. Valheim is a Nordic delight where you and up to 10 bearded buddies attempt to break out a procedurally generated purgatory. To do so, you'll need to gather up resources, build yourself some nice gear, and beat a handful of big baddies scattered across the land. Purgatory is actually quite nice early on at least. You're dropped into a beautiful forest biome, filled with boar and little goblin dudes, before you'll need to venture out into dark woods and plains teeming with massive ogres and horrid, overgrown mosquitoes. Keep your eyes on this one. Grounded takes the 1980s theme Honey, I Shrunk the Kids scenario and pops you into a fairly normal backyard garden. Except that's because you're a tiny mite. It transformed normal into more of bug-infested hellscape. With friends in tow, your aim is to raid these miniature science labs to gather intel on just what the heck is going on, as well as turn the mandibles and shells of your fallen foes into nice pairs of pants and armor. A bit like Monster Hunter in a way. Escape from Tarkov is summed up best by saying winning is simply a case of getting out of the vast levels with more stuff than you entered with. It might be an online survival FPS, and play a bit like a battle royale, but the goal is as simple as making it out alive with stuff, so long as it's boar stuff. To do so, you'll need to contend with unwelcoming dark corridors, NPCs who can drop you in a heartbeat, and other players who, and you can't blame them, just want to escape too. As you may have guessed, the game isn't like a Call of Duty or Apex Legends. It's brutal and unforgiving, with gunplay that leans hard into the pseudo-realistic military sims. Still, if you can embrace its grittiness, there's a great deal of stories to be had here. Progression is Ark Survival Evolved's greatest feat, as you slowly transform from a washed-up cave dweller into a dinosaur-taming legend. If you're a dino fan, then you're well catered for here, as you're eventually able to use them as forms of transport or the equivalent of combine harvesters. Expect lots of collecting fibers and fur to craft boots, maybe a spear to fend off enemy players or protect your allies. And if you're a fan of the traditional first-person survival sim, then you'll find plenty to like here too. It's hard to feel proud of your decisions in Frostpunk. With the world frozen over and the last dregs of humanity huddled around a titanic furnace, you've got one overarching goal: keep them alive. To achieve this, your people need warmth and food. That's easier said than done. It's not enough to whack down the right buildings and start sending your citizens out into the wilderness to hunt for resources. You need to nurture a society that can weather an ice age. And if that means enacting an emergency shift law to force workers to stay at their post for 24 hours to net you the coal you need to last another day, so be it. Your workers won't be too pleased. Well, you'll have to weather that potential disaster further down the road. Getting started in Rust can be a bit of a pain. After waking up naked and clueless, you'll spend hours smashing rocks and chopping down trees like a Stone Age drone. And chances are that you'll end up a snack for wild animals, before you've had a chance to put a little base together. Once you're able to protect yourself though, Rust's appeal becomes more apparent. A gathering expedition is a lot more exciting, and there's a chance you're going to get into a shootout with packs of other players. The competition creates predators and prey, which can lead to highly imbalanced fights. But that makes it all the more satisfying when you start fighting back and winning. Rust isn't just a survival game, it's a lesson in trust issues. What I love about it is its sheer unpredictability. One moment you're scavenging scraps in peace, and the next, a naked guy with a spear is chasing you down. Maybe you've built up a fortress and are feeling pretty secure, until a group of raiders with explosives decides otherwise. It's chaos, but it's also what makes Rust so great. It's easy to oversell the idea that No Man's Sky was a flop on release, and has only crawled its way back to respectability in the years of updates since. Closer to the truth would be to say that it did a great job of providing a certain kind of experience at launch, and sold loads in the process, and now it provides a more varied set of experiences. From the beginning to now, one of those experiences has been survival. If you want to play No Man's Sky on a set of hostile worlds, scrabbling to get enough resources to build shelter or to fuel the next desperate jump across the galaxy, it will now reward you with prettier and more varied planets, giant sandworms, mechs to pilot, pals to partner with, and much more. There are still better survival games on this list, but few of them can match No Man's Sky for scale and polish. Survival games don't come more alien than Subnautica, or less hospitable to human life. And though a sequel, Subnautica Below Zero, came out in 2023, it's still building upon a foundation set by the original. Stuck on an underwater planet, you must delve below the waves to find food and resources, eventually constructing your very own underwater base and submersible vehicles. 3D movement and a lack of oxygen make even the mundane act of gathering bits of scrap a tense adventure. Danger can come from any direction, and if you stay underwater for too long, you'll get a nasty reminder that you're the alien on this world. Vehicles, air pumps, and oxygen tanks allow you to stay under for longer, however, and the more familiar you become with the world, the more the ocean starts to become home. DayZ is a survival game in its rawest, most brutal form. It dumps you into a massive open world, armed with nothing but the clothes on your back and a prayer, and says good luck. The post-apocalyptic setting is crawling with zombies, but the real danger? Other players. Because nothing screams survival quite like looting a stranger's backpack and running for your life. Every choice in DayZ feels like a gamble. You sprint into a town and scavenge for supplies, knowing the noise might attract zombies, or worse, other survivors with itchy trigger fingers. Food, water, and medicine are always scarce, and just when you think you're doing alright, a random injury or a bad can of beans can ruin your day. Conan Exiles is basically what happens when you take Survivor and throw it into a blender with Game of Thrones, but with way more nudity, gladiatorial combat, and giant snakes. Set in the brutal world of Conan the Barbarian, you'll be surviving in the harsh desert and a few other deadly locales, battling everything from crocodiles to rival factions. And let's be real, who wouldn't want to build their own kingdom while wearing nothing but a loincloth and a sword? The game is all about resource gathering, crafting, and building, but it also offers ridiculous amounts of ways to die. Seriously, one minute you're chopping down trees and the next, a giant sand monster is eating your face. It's chaos, and it's amazing. But what really makes Conan Exiles stand out is the ability to tame and enslave enemies, which is as morally questionable as it sounds. You'll create your own little band of exiles, force them to work for you, and wonder if you've become the very thing you swore to destroy.
Exiles, hear me
Alright, Dune Spice Wars isn't your typical survival game. It's more strategy than scrambling for scraps. But it still makes you fight tooth and nail to survive on the unforgiving desert planet of Arrakis. If the blistering heat doesn't get you, the massive sandworms lurking beneath the dunes just might. This game throws you into the world of Dune, where controlling spice, the universe's most valuable resource, is the key to survival and domination. You'll pick one of the several factions, each with its own strengths, and try to outsmart your enemies through political maneuvering, economic control, and of course, outright warfare. It's a balancing act with this one. Expand too fast, and you'll attract unwanted attention from rival factions, or those giant worms. Expand too slow, and you'll fall behind in the ruthless race for spice supremacy. Shout out to the Dune fans out there. Sons of the Forest is a survival game of PvEVC, where C means cannibals. You're part of an elite team, sent to rescue a billionaire who's gone missing on a remote island. But when your chopper crash lands, and almost your whole squad, apart from this one gormless but beloved guy called Kelvin, are taken out. So your challenge becomes A, survive on this forested island, build a camp, grow blueberries, walk among the peaceful trees, and enjoy the soothing sounds of the river. Don't Starve isn't just a survival game. It's a psychological test designed to make you question your life choices. You're dropped into a spooky, dark world with nothing but your wits and a few basic tools. Let me tell you, the world is out to get you. You'll be fighting off weird monsters, trying to keep your sanity intact. Spoiler, you won't. And foraging for food so you don't starve, which is, the point. The game's charm is its dark humor and quirky art style, but underneath the weirdness is a truly unforgiving survival experience. Your character is always on the edge of madness, and every little thing you do, chop a tree, light a fire, or even pick a flower, drains your sanity just a bit more. And let's not even talk about the nightmarish creatures that'll try to eat you. Who knew a game about not starving could make you feel this paranoid? But hey, at least you get to play as Wilson, a scientist who looks like one bad hair day away from losing it all. Don't Starve is the game that reminds you, survival is hard. You're probably gonna die, and you'll be totally okay with it because it's all hilariously messed up. If you're more about the freedom of exploration and getting lost in massive worlds, with or without survival mechanics, you should check out our video on the 20 best open world games you need to play. Trust me, if you love getting sucked into vast immersive environments, this list will have you itching to dive into some new adventures. See you there.
Kamsamida สวัสดีค่ะเด็กกระเป๋าไม่มียาชอบไปแล้วชดาผู้ชอบดาราไม่ดาวิกาอัมพัชราภาบินพิชยาบุ๋มบรรดามาวนภาเดยโชติกาอภิสดาอุลสยายาบินชนิดาปอยติชดาคิดโหวังมีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดงแล้วกูไม่แรงแต่กูทำมึงง่วงขี้กูไม่ม่วงแต่กูยังมีแรงว่าหัวแดงแล้วก็ทำลื้อล่วงเอามึงไปคั่วอยู่ไงพี่แกงเดี๋ยวเดินทางมาเดี๋ยวเดินทางตั้งแข่งเอาไงกังวะไอ้เหี้ยมีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดงมีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดงมีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดงมีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดงเหี้ยอะไรเนี่ยกูไม่ตลกด้วยนะไอ้สัตว์ไอ้ยาอยากสีเหลืองยันโลฮันแน่ไวซะเลยเป่าวุ้งจิ้งชอบกินไข่เต่าส่วนแมงจังเจ้าชอบเล่งปอกเก่งผงทางธุรกิจสีเทาต้องเด็กติดยาโตมาเป็นเอเย่งเย็กแม่เราโอนเหนื่อยแทบตายหัวใจจะวายคอออกซิเจนอาม่าหรือเรามานองพีกายโอ้ยไม่สบายขอบีโทเฟ่งช้อนแกงกูโดนช้อนแกงโชว์บอกแกงให้มีมาแน่ใส่เสื้อปุ้งแต่พลสแลงคุยยมต้องสกัดสปาวต้องสกัดสปาวยายากูไม่ใช่ชวนในกระเพรากูไม่ใช่ชวนในกระเพรายายากูไม่ใช่ชวนในกระเพรากูไม่ใช่ชวนในกระเพรายายากูบอกว่ากูไม่ใส่ถั่วมีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดงแล้วกูไม่แรงแต่กูทำมึงง่วงขี้กูไม่ม่วงแต่กูยังมีแรงว่าหัวแดงแล้วก็ทำลื้อล่วงเอามึงไปคั่วอยู่ไงพี่แกงเดี๋ยวเดินทางมาเดี๋ยวเดินทางตั้งแข่งเอาไงกังวะไอ้เหี้ย มีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดงมีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดงมีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดงมีหนังแดงแล้วจะกินหนังส่วงมีหนังส่วงแล้วจะกินหนังแดง
ขอเคล็ดก่อนขอเคล็ดพ่อมันสิขอเคล็ด